Arch Advocate podcast for Friday, April 19th. Good Friday to everyone. It's Good Friday today. We're going to get into that. But first, breaking news, everybody. Breaking news. Breaking news. The Mueller report is out. And much to the Democrats' delight, it unveils the fact that Donald J. Trump had a visceral response to finding out that a special counsel was being appointed. Yes, this is the nail in the coffin. This is the smoking gun. This is the bombshell. This is the, I don't know. Shoot, I can't even remember which analogies I already used. Yeah, so the Democrats are they're just in a big circle jerk right now. Oh, rubbing peanut butter on their tits. Oh, look, it's true. It's all true. Look, it says Donald Trump slumped back in his chair and said, "I'm effed. This is really going to damage my presidency." Oh yeah, that's actually the right response. Yes, Mr. President, that was the right response, and you were right. The entire United States has been effed for 2 years. It's a miracle that it's even over now, to the degree that it is, because listen, this is never going to be over. As long as Donald J. Trump is in office, the Democrats will continue to bang this drum. And they will get more retarded. They're going to get more crazy. Because, I mean, look at them. You say, "Oh, Pete, how can you possibly know that? How can anybody know that?" Look at their behavior. Their front runner for president now is a gay dude who was a mayor. That's their guy now. Pete, with the first four letters of his last name is Butt. And he does butt stuff with another dude. That's how crazy they are. The Green New Deal. They're so crazy that they drew up this paperwork on the Green New Deal, and then what's his name? Old cocaine Mitch McConnell said, "All right, let's vote on it. Come on. Come on, you little son of a bitch. Let's vote on it. Let's put it to the floor." Right? You want to get crazy? Let's get crazy. Let's vote on it. Their whole platform right now is like, listen, what the biggest problem in America, the biggest problem in the world, is that sexual predators, also known as transvestites, also known as transgendered people, aren't allowed to go into the women's bathroom where your daughter is trying to pee. That's what really needs to be fixed. That's the pressing issue of the modern age. These people are crazy. It's not the flood of invaders coming up from the south, expected to reach like 1 million, over 1 million this year, in a year. 100,000 in 1 month. That's nuts. No, there's no problem there. These are good people, they say. Oh, okay. Since they're such good people, since they are always such a net positive to the economy, and since we are all much more safer because these are just good Catholic folk, let's just bust them into your town. Oh no, you can't do that. That's against the law. These people are crazy. They're not going to stop. But we all saw it. And they're all saying, "Oh, this Barr guy, he's a stooge. He's working for President Trump." Yes, he is working for President Trump. He's working for the Attorney General works for the president. That's how that works. Do you remember the last guy? Right? Do you remember Jeff Sessions? He was hired by Trump. He was asked to leave by Trump. Because that's what the Attorney General did. Remember Eric Holder, Barack Obama? He worked for Barack Obama. That was his guy. That's how that works. And they're making a bit, "Oh my God, this guy is acting like he's working for Trump." He is working for Trump, you dummy. That's how that particular thing works. God. Anyways, it's It's dumb. But listen, yeah. He had that response. The report says that the account is that when he found out that the special counsel was being appointed, that he slumped back in his chair and he's like, oh man, I'm effed. These people are just going to keep me bound up in legal nonsense for my whole term. I'm not going to be able to get anything done. And he was right. The wall, I mean, he's made tremendous progress on that wall. Gotta tip the hat to him there, but it's still not done yet. That was one of his big campaign promises. The reversal of Obamacare, the quote Affordable Health Care Act, which was neither affordable nor healthy nor caring, that hasn't been reversed. There's a lot of things that he hasn't been able to get done. And why? Because of these assholes. Because of these powerful weaklings. They don't care about the country. They care about power. It's a shame, to make a mockery of the office, to make a mockery of the American people. I'm so happy that this guy is in that office, because, I don't know what the future holds, but as long as that guy is in there, we're not getting politics as usual. We're not getting, people that are in the office that are run by the Clintons. We got a deal maker in the office. We got a salesman in the office, a businessman. I couldn't be more happy, and God bless President Trump. What a wonderful time this is, because from now on, no matter what, because the Democrats, they're not going to stop, but from now on, no matter what, he's just going to look at him like, what are you going to do? You going to go hire another special counsel? You think the American people, you think they can bear this very much longer? Not Americans like me, but their constituent. You think Nancy Pelosi's constituents and, Captain Caveman down there in Texas and Sheila Jackson Lee and AOC and Mayor Pete, you think those people's constituents are going to tolerate very much more of this? Eventually the people are going to be like, listen, lady, there's holes in the road. I drive to work every day and there's holes in the road. And furthermore, somebody that I work with, their daughter got killed by a drunk driver, and that drunk driver, it turns out, has no legal right to be in the United States. You need to go get to work, lady. That's why I hired you. You need to do your work. Stop it. Enough. Knock it off. Get back to work. When I voted for you, that was my way of saying you're hired. I hired you, and my tax dollars, they pay your salary. You think these Democrats, I'm not talking about retarded ones. I'm talking about the normal people who are Democrats. There's a lot of them out there. I've been in whole churches where they were all Democrats. In Minnesota, for example, Duluth. Those are all Democrats. They're not Republicans. They're, you got to keep in mind, Minnesota, Duluth, Minnesota is pretty much on the border of Canada. They are as far away from the Mexican border as you can get in the lower 48. And everybody there is either white or Native American. It's a very white place to be. And, the only thing they have to the north is Canada. Right? So they don't have problems. They don't have San Diego problems or Houston or Dallas or whatever, and they don't have a large population problem. They don't have big city problems. So, of course, they're all Democrats because they're like, well, obviously, we're the richest country in the world and life's pretty good for me. I mean, we should just give free shit. From their perspective, from their point of view, everything in America is going great. So you go to church where there's Christian people and they're Democrats. And they're like, yeah, the abortion thing. But, the rest of the stuff, yeah, man. We need to give our tax dollars to, people who don't want to work. Those poor bastards. You think those Democrats, right? There's a lot of Democrats in the world, not in the world, sorry. There's a lot of Democrats in America that consider themselves centrists. You know, they just vote Democrat because they're like, yeah, man, I mean, we're rich. We should help people out. You know, and they're people that are my age, so they grew up always seeing the Republican Party in the old Republican Party, where it was the party of the country club, where the Republican Party was just hooking up rich people left and right. So they wanted to get away from that. They had to choose the lesser of two evils, and they came down on the Democrat Party. Those Democrats, they're all looking at this right now saying, listen, state representative, who is a Democrat who I voted for and placed in office, you need to drop it. You need to get back to the business that I hired you for, running the country, so that I can go to work, sell my widgets, or mine my coal, or whatever it is that people do. You need to get back to running the country. And if you don't, well, guess what? I'm going to hire somebody else the next time around. These people want to keep on banging this drum. It's like, go ahead. Go ahead. You're not bringing Republicans over to your side. There is no conservative out there that's thinking, you know what? There's people who voted for Trump that are kind of nervous right now. What are you gonna do? You gonna go vote for the Democrats? They're talking about infanticide. They're talking about murdering babies outside of the womb. You think conservatives, Republicans, people on the right, whatever you want to call us, you think that there's a single one of those people in America who's feeling a little disappointed in Trump? You think that person's contemplating switching their voter registration out to becoming a Democrat? Not one out of 340 million. I'll put money on that. Not very much money. Support the show. PayPal.me/ArchAdvocate. I put money on that, dude. Not one. There is not a single registered Republican in America right now that's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go vote for the infanticide party. I'm going to go vote for the party that has been found through their never-ending bitching and virtue signaling, been found placing convicted pedophiles in drag in public libraries to read to children. Not a single one of us. There's not a single one of us. I mean, not me, because personally, I love the job that Trump's doing. I'm amazed that he's gotten as far as he had, given the hurdles he's had to get over. Not one. But on the other side, there's Democrats. There's the staunch Democrats, the Democrats that have been just in the center, just center and a smidge to the left, that they vote Democrat. You think those people can tolerate very much more? They may not vote for Trump. They're just not going to vote at all. And some of those people, a number of those people are going to be like, you know what? I'm sorry. You went. First you said it was 9 months and I couldn't handle that, but then you started talking about killing babies outside of the womb. I'm out. I'm voting for the orange guy. I'm changing my voter registration and I'm sending my money in. That's what's up. That is what is going down in Chinatown. Anyways, happy Friday, man. Good Friday. It's kind of strange we call it Good Friday because a lot of bad stuff happened that day. It was over, well, it's approximately 2019 years ago. You know, it's tough to narrow it down to the exact year, obviously, but it was on this day, 2019 years ago, on this very day, right? Because it has to do with Passover, and that never changes, right? For the Jews, the reason they had to take Jesus off of the cross, I'm sure this is Sunday School 101 for you, but the reason they had to take Jesus down off of the cross, was because it was against the law to have hanging bodies on Passover. All right, so you had to kill them on Friday and take them down on Friday night. And that's what happened. Some questions that I think a lot of Christians, I don't know if they just never get around to asking it, or they're just non-thinking people or whatever. But I don't run into a lot of Christians that in just sitting around talking about Jesus ever ask like why. You know what I wonder? I wonder why. Why crucifixion? Why was that necessary? We can see Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane praying to the Father, saying, Father, please, if there's any other way, oh Father who transcends space and time, who lives in all of however many dimensions there are, the multi-dimensional God, my Father, if there's any other way in any other parallel universe, if there's any other thing that you can do, being the God that can do anything he wants to do, if there is any other way, let this cup pass from me. Let me not have to drink this cup. And the answer was, there's no other way. Why? Why was there no other way? Why was it that God? I guess there's that old question like, is there anything God can't do? Can God make a stone that's too big for him to lift? Can God tell a lie? The answer is there's a number of things that God can't do. And when when you look at it that way, it kind of peels another layer off. God could not come up with another way. It had to be that. Why? If God can do whatever he wants to do, and his son was pleading with him, Father, if there's any other way, let's do that. If there's any other way other than having my skin torn from my body and my beard pulled from my face, being nailed to a cross and hung out to die, if there's any other way, and there was not, why? Another important question, why then? The Jews had been waiting for the Messiah for 1,500 years at that point. From the first time that Moses said, hey, there's somebody coming. I don't know what his name is, so let's just call him that prophet. And when that prophet arrives, you're no longer going to listen to me, you're going to listen to him. From that day to the time of Jesus was 1,500 years. And from the time of Jesus till now, 2,000 years. You add those two together, you come up with 3,500 years. And the Jews are still waiting for the Messiah. 3,500 years. Why then? Why at that intersection of space and time? Right? Why not now? Like the Christians are waiting for the second coming. The Jews are waiting for the first coming. You would think like wouldn't the first coming of Christ, wouldn't it be better now? There's Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Can you imagine how many YouTube followers Jesus would have? He'd have a lot more than little Bub the Cat, I'll tell you that much. Why then? Why at that time? Why him? Why is there so many different interpretations of prophecy? You know what I mean? There's just so many questions. Why? I don't have all the answers. I mean, there's people who've been going nuts on that very question for 2,000 years. There's all kinds of books written on that very topic. I recommend you read them all. I recommend I read them all. Every time you read another book like that, it's like, oh man, you get a whole new perspective. But the reason why, the cross, and the violent nature of that death, which happened today, it happened on this day, some 2,000 years ago. Why the vulgar nature of that execution? Why did it have to be that? And I'll start off by saying, well, first, quote that passage in, I think it's 1 John. He who knows not love knows not God, for God is love. People abuse that phrase, God is love. People abuse that phrase endlessly. People get this, they take that scripture, oh, God is love, and they build up this image of God in their mind. This God is love God, based on their own definition of what love is. And in their building, their construction of their God in their head, they come up with some cosmic Santa Claus who is affectionate and smells good and is benevolent. And then they come out of their head and they look around the world with their eyes and they see children starving and dying. They see wars and people being brutal to one another. And they say, well, there must be no God then. Because how could a loving God let all of this happen? And so they bounce what they see off of this God that they created in their mind, because it's like, well, God is love, and I define love this way, therefore God is this way. It's like, no, that's wrong. It's understandable, but your logic is flawed. Yes, God is love, but what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Baby, don't hurt me no more. Right? It's just like Pontius Pilate. What is truth? Whatever the definition of love is, it's God's definition. Right? Here's why I took such excruciating measures to lay that out. On this day, today, Good Friday, was on this day 2,000 years ago that God poured out His most awesome, His most amazing, most vulgar, shocking. He poured out his I'm searching for all the right adjectives. It was his greatest display of wrath and vengeance. It was on this day 2,000 years ago. God poured out His cup of wrath. Death. Right? Are you following me? What happened today? Some 2,000 years ago. Was God's most vicious display of wrath and heartbreak from the betrayal of his creation, and anger and disappointment and all of that. He poured it all out on His own Son. There's a lot that went into that thinking. There would have been a lot of conversations in heaven about that. About, were they worth it? Son, are you sure you want to go down there? Well, Father, do you want these people? Do you want to you originally wanted a family? Do you want that family? Well, yes, I do, son. Well then, Father, then I want you to have what you want because you're my Father and I love you and I want to give you what you want. I want you to be happy. Is the way I imagine that conversation in some part went down. God said there's a bill that has to be paid. The wages of sin is death. And these people have turned against me. And no matter how many times I forgive them, they just keep turning against me. And there's a price that has to be paid. The wages of sin are death. It's unavoidable. Well, I'll go down there. And I will take that payment for all the death that they've earned. I will be the receiver of that paycheck. And I will cover their sins. So they don't have to be ashamed anymore and they can come to you through me. That's what happened. In part. In part, and in my imagination. Of course, I have no proof of that. There's no scriptural reference to that conversation that I just made up right now in my mind. And that's the way I've always imagined it, sort of. God poured out his wrath on this day in the most awesome way he'd ever done it before. And he had poured out his wrath on all of mankind before. The first time he had the courtesy, he had the manners to just end it quickly and just drowned everybody. Flooded the earth, killed everybody. Except for a handful of people put in a boat. God must have been looking at that boat going, you know what? All I got to do, I just reach down there and shove my finger down on the starboard side of that boat, tip it over, and all my pain is gone. These people won't be able to hurt my feelings anymore. For 40 days. Actually, no, it was 40 days of rain, but then it was like they were on that boat for a couple months. And every day, God must have just been looking at them going, you know what? Boy, I could just end it all right now. I knock these people out, maybe start over, maybe create a different race, anything. But he didn't. Then there was the Tower of Babel. God poured out his wrath because the people were trying to make God come to them. So he made it so they couldn't talk to each other. Gave them all different languages. And in so doing, he divorced himself from mankind. And said, I'm just going to have this one little portion of people. And those will be my people. The rest of you can go do whatever you want to do. It's free choice, baby. But these people, these are going to be my people. A little later on, that story morphs into Abraham and so on and so forth. But then God finally had enough. Got to a point where it's like, I'm going to kill these people. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. My own children, all they do is they break my heart, mock me, disobey me, turn their back on me. I'm just going to wipe them out. And the Son of God said, whoa, wait a minute. Surely something can be done. No, son. The wages of sin is death. They have to die. But what if I received the payment? What if you gave me the payment and in so doing, those people became my people? What if I was responsible for these people? What if I could give it a try? What if you gave the earth and everything in it to me? And then it was my responsibility. Right? Well, son, the wrath is getting poured out, so therefore, the only way that could even possibly happen is if you go down there and I pour out my wrath on you, thus saving my creation, which I love and I've put a lot of work into. And they came to that agreement. Somehow, I have no idea what the actual workings of that, how that all went down. All I know is that on this day, 2,000 years ago, it was simultaneously God's most vehement act of wrath, vicious act of wrath, and his greatest display of love for you and me. God is love, and everything he does is love. So even his greatest act of wrath, his most fiery act of wrath, was simultaneously his greatest display of his love for us. That happened today, Good Friday, some 2,000 years ago. Thank you for being with me as I think about this. Staying with me on this podcast as I'm just sitting here. I'm not reminding you, I'm reminding myself. Thank you for being with me. You know, I'm glad that if maybe there's some people out there that forgot, weren't gonna think about it today. And if I helped to remind you of like what happened. His skin was torn from his skin. From his body. His skin was torn from his body. Whipped off of his body. They kept punching him in the face. They kept grabbing his beard and pulling it out. It doesn't come out like hair on your head. The skin comes out with it. The jawbone is exposed. That white, fatty flesh that you have underneath your skin, there's blood everywhere. You couldn't even tell he was a man anymore. He was bleeding so badly. And they mocked him. They insulted him. If you're the Son of God, why don't you save yourself? And he took it because he wanted to please the Father. Not my will, but your be done. If this cup cannot be passed, if there's no other way, then I will drink this cup. And return your children to you. Thank you, Jesus. That's the show for today. That is the show for the week. It's my birthday tomorrow. Jeez, I'm 46. Eek. I'll talk to you guys on Monday, man. Happy Easter, everyone. Think about it. Later.